SSDI and SSI beneficiaries. Are you included for this $2,000 stimulus check? Or this $2,000 dividend payment, as the president likes to call it? This is genuinely one of the most common questions I receive. Multiple times per week, every single week, I get comments and messages asking some version of this exact question. And I get it. I completely understand why this community specifically is asking this question, and I want to dedicate this entire video to answering it clearly and directly, so we can stop guessing and actually understand where things stand. Now, a lot of you who follow this channel know that the bulk of what I cover here, across well over 6,000 videos over several years, is focused around Social Security. That's this community. That's who I'm speaking to. And so when a story like this $2,000 payment comes up, the first question I hear from this audience, every single time, is the same. What about us? Are we going to be left out again? Are they going to forget about SSDI? Are they going to skip SSI? Are they going to overlook everyone on a fixed income again, like they seem to do so often? And I'm going to be straight with you. I don't blame you for thinking that way. That concern is completely valid. It feels that way a lot, doesn't it? Time and time again, when the government announces some kind of payment, some kind of benefit, some kind of financial relief, there are these little asterisks buried in the fine print that seem specifically designed to knock out the people who need help the most. So the worry is real, and it's understandable. But here's what I want to do in this video. I want to actually walk through the details of this $2,000 payment, where it stands right now, what the eligibility picture looks like, and specifically what it means for people on SSDI, SSI, and Social Security benefits of all types. Because the answer is more straightforward than a lot of people think. And once you understand the two things that have always determined eligibility for payments like this, a lot of the fear and confusion around this starts to go away. So let's get into it. Let me give you the full timeline on this so you know exactly what was said, when it was said, and what we're working with right now. Because I think it helps to understand the history before we talk about the eligibility side of things. The president actually first floated the idea of this payment back on October 2nd of last year. I have a dedicated video on the channel featuring that clip of him speaking about it. At that point, it was more of an early mention. He was putting the idea out there. But then, on November 9th, he made it more official. He put it in writing, and what he said was, a dividend of at least $2,000 per person, not including high-income individuals, will be paid to everybody. Not including high-income people, will be paid to everybody. That's the quote. That's the statement. And since then, from November through right now, as we're recording this, the president has repeated this multiple times. Multiple times. I have many videos on this channel featuring those different clips of him reaffirming this intention. So this is not something he said once and moved on from. He keeps coming back to it. He keeps saying that at some point in 2026, this $2,000 dividend payment is going to happen. Now, and I want to be very transparent about this because this is important. We are still taking the president's word for it at this point. There is no signed legislation. There is no official distribution date. There is no confirmed delivery mechanism. All we have is the president continuing to say it's going to happen. Whether it actually materializes as a direct, separate payment, or whether something else happens entirely, we don't know yet. And I'll be honest with you here. I've said this in other videos, and I'll say it again now. I would not be completely shocked if we get to later in the year, September, October, and suddenly the administration comes out and says something like, well, we already gave it to you. Remember that tax refund earlier this year? That was your dividend. Trust us. That was it. And we'd all be sitting there going, what? We got nothing. What are you talking about? That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just me being honest about the track record here. Remember how the $1,400 check got sold as a $2,000 check? They told us $2,000, we got $1,400. They shorted us $600, and we just had to accept it. So the healthy dose of skepticism is warranted. I'm not trying to be negative. I want you to get this money. I genuinely do. But I want to keep you informed about the reality of the situation so you're not caught off guard if things go sideways. All that said, based on what the president continues to say publicly, this payment is still on the table for 2026. So let's talk about whether you'd be included, okay? Here's the core of what I want you to understand. And I want to be really clear about this because there is so much confusion swirling around this topic, especially in the comments section, about what determines whether someone is eligible for a payment like this. People are asking, is it about whether you have a disability? No. That's never been a qualifying or disqualifying factor. And honestly, if it were, that would be absolutely unacceptable. Using someone's disability status to determine whether they get a payment would be discriminatory and would create enormous legal problems. That's not how it works. Is it about whether you're working? No. It has nothing to do with employment status. Whether you work, whether you don't work, whether you can work or can't work. Completely irrelevant. Is it about filing a tax return? No. I know a lot of you are worried about this one specifically. Many people on SSDI and SSI don't file tax returns because their benefit income doesn't require them to. But that has never been a disqualifying factor for these types of payments. It didn't matter in 2020. It didn't matter in 2021. It won't matter here. Is it about receiving a fixed income benefit? No. Receiving a Social Security benefit, any type, any amount, has never been a reason someone gets excluded from these payments. So, what does matter? What has it always come down to? Two things. Just two. That's it. Number one, a Social Security number. That's always been required. You have to have a valid Social Security number. Now, if you are receiving SSDI, SSI, or any Social Security benefit, you have a Social Security number. That's essentially a given. So for virtually everyone in this community, that first requirement is already checked off. Number two, your income. That's it. That is the entire eligibility question. Not whether your income comes from work, not whether it comes from a benefit check, not whether it shows up on a W-2 or a 1099, just your income. The total dollar amount of income coming in from any and all sources. Income is income, regardless of where it comes from. Your Social Security benefit, your SSDI payment, your SSI check, that is your income. And the Social Security Administration reports your benefit income directly to the IRS every year, whether you file a return or not. So the IRS already knows what you're receiving. You don't have to file a return for that information to exist in the system. Let me say that again because it's important. You do not have to file a tax return for the government to know your income. The SSA tells the IRS exactly what you received. That's already happening automatically. So the "I don't file taxes, so I won't get it" concern? That concern does not apply here. It is never applied to payments like this. Now let's talk about the income threshold, because this is the actual question that matters. Where is the line going to be drawn, and does your income fall below it? I want to be upfront. The official threshold has not been confirmed yet. The administration hasn't released the specific number. When they do, I will cover it immediately in a dedicated video. But based on how these payments have worked historically, and based on the language the president has already used, specifically not including high-income people, I anticipate that the threshold is going to land somewhere around $75,000 per year for an individual and $150,000 per year for a married couple. That's my expectation based on the patterns we've seen. But again, that's not confirmed. That's my read of the situation. Now here's the thing, and this is the part I really want you to sit with, because this directly answers the question of whether SSDI and SSI beneficiaries are included. If the threshold is anywhere in the neighborhood of $75,000 per year, if that is even remotely close to where they land, then virtually every single person receiving SSDI or SSI is automatically below the threshold, by default, without doing any math, without needing to calculate anything. Why? Because Social Security benefits simply don't pay that much. The average SSDI payment in 2025 is somewhere around $1,500 to $1,600 per month. Multiply that by 12. You're looking at $18,000 to $19,000 a year. The maximum SSI payment for an individual in 2025 is $943 per month. That's roughly $11,300 a year. Even if you're receiving the absolute maximum Social Security retirement benefit, which is around $4,800 a month for someone who delayed until $70, that's still under $58,000 a year, still below a $75,000 threshold. The only situation where a Social Security beneficiary might land above a $75,000 income threshold is someone who reached full retirement age, is collecting a large Social Security retirement benefit, and is also still working and earning a significant income from employment on top of that. That's a very specific, relatively rare situation. For essentially everyone else in this community, everyone on SSDI, everyone on SSI, the overwhelming majority of Social Security recipients, your income is below the line, by a wide margin. So the short answer to the big question, if this payment happens, and we're still working with an IF here, then yes, SSDI beneficiaries would be included. SSI beneficiaries would be included. Fixed income, Social Security recipients of all types would be included. Your benefit income puts you below the threshold automatically. If you're still not fully convinced, let me point to something concrete. Let's go back to the 3 stimulus checks that went out in 2020 and 2021 during the pandemic, because those payments are the clearest real-world example of how this works and who gets included. Did they say you have to be employed to receive the stimulus? No, they did not say that. Did they say you have to file a tax return to receive the stimulus? No. In fact, they set up a special non-filer portal specifically for people who didn't file returns, including a lot of people on SSI, so they could still receive their payments. Did they exclude people with disabilities? No, absolutely not. Did they exclude people on fixed income benefits? No. The only thing that determined whether you got those checks was your income. Were you below the threshold? Yes. You got it. The end. And SSDI and SSI beneficiaries got those checks. They went out as direct deposits to the same bank accounts where those benefit payments land every month. The SSA coordinated directly to make sure that population was covered. That's the precedent, that's the model, and there's no reason to believe a new payment would work any differently on the fundamental eligibility question. Now, there is one small nuance worth mentioning. During previous rounds of stimulus, there were some exceptions and provisions around ITNs, individual taxpayer identification numbers, for certain situations. The rules around that have varied a bit from round to round. Once we get official details on the structure of this new payment, I'll address that specifically in a dedicated video. But for the core eligibility question for people with Social Security numbers receiving SSA benefits, that's not the concern. I want to speak directly to some of the specific concerns I see over and over in the comments section, because I think it's worth going through these one by one. I don't work, so I won't qualify. That is not how it works. Employment status has never been a factor. Your SSDI or SSI benefit is your income, and income is all that matters. I don't file a tax return, so they won't know to send it to me. The SSA already reports your benefit income to the IRS. You are already in the system. Non-filers have been included in every previous round of payments through alternative processes. This is not a disqualifier. My income is too low to qualify. This one is backwards. Having a low income makes you more likely to qualify, not less. These payments are specifically designed to go to people who are not high earners. The lower your income, the more firmly you fall below the threshold. They're going to find some technicality to leave us out. I understand this fear completely. And I won't promise you it can't happen, because we've seen the government pull some frustrating moves before. The $1,200 that was supposed to be $2,000 is a perfect example. But based on every historical precedent, based on the structure of how these payments work, based on the president's own words that it's going to go to everybody who isn't high income, there is no mechanism I can identify that would exclude SSDI and SSI beneficiaries as a class. What if they backpedal entirely? That's a fair concern, and honestly, I share it. I've been transparent about this from the beginning. There's a real possibility, I wouldn't say it's likely, but it's possible, that this whole thing gets quietly walked back or redefined into something that already happened, like a tax refund, and we never see a dedicated, separate $2,000 payment at all. That's the scenario I want you to be mentally prepared for. Not to be cynical, just to not be blindsided. Let me bring this all together clearly. Here's what we know right now. The president has said multiple times across multiple months that a $2,000 dividend or stimulus-type payment is coming in 2026. He has said it goes to everybody who is not high income. We don't have official legislation, an official date, or official confirmed eligibility rules yet. Based on everything we know from the president's own statements, and based on every historical precedent from previous payments, the two things that determine eligibility are a Social Security number and your income falling below whatever threshold gets set. If you are on SSDI, you almost certainly have a Social Security number and your income is almost certainly below any reasonable threshold they would set. Same goes for SSI. Same goes for Social Security retirement, spousal benefits, survivor benefits. Virtually all fixed income Social Security benefit types fall below any $75,000 range income threshold automatically. So the short answer is yes, based on everything we know right now, SSDI and SSI beneficiaries would be included. That's the honest, clear, direct answer to the question so many of you have been asking. If they do this payment, and it's still an IF, you would be in. If everybody gets left out, Everybody gets left out together. But based on the structure of these payments and the language being used, there is no specific exclusion mechanism for this community. As we get any additional details, any official announcements from the administration, any specifics from the Treasury Secretary, any confirmed numbers on thresholds or delivery timelines, I will be in front of a camera, bringing it to you immediately. I'll feature the relevant clips directly so you can see for yourself exactly what's being said. I'll break down what it means for your specific situation. And look, I know this is frustrating. I know it's confusing. I know there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of uncertainty and a lot of moments where the government has made promises that didn't come through the way they were supposed to. I hear that frustration in your comments every single day. I want you to get this money. I genuinely want that for you. And part of how I help make that happen is by keeping you informed, keeping you clear on what the rules actually are, and making sure you don't get confused or scared off by misinformation. Anything you want to know, anything you're still unclear on, drop it in the comments below. I read everything. I will come back with a dedicated video or a live stream to address specific questions. Whatever you need, let me know. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to represent this community. I'm here to advocate for you. I'm here to make sure you know exactly what's happening and what it means for your benefits. Please remember, I'm the messenger here. I'm bringing you the information as it comes across and doing my best to answer your questions as clearly and honestly as I can. I want you to get this. I really do. And I will keep you posted every single step of the way. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider it. It's 100% free. Big subscribe button right down below. Hit the share button too, so this information gets to other people in this community who have the same questions. Otherwise, enjoy your day. Take care, have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one.